Welcome to the Justin Hamilton podcast. I am, of course, Justin Hamilton, and today author Garth Jones is returning to this episode, and we have heaps of books and graphic novels to talk about. Garth from previous episodes is very good at churning through a lot, and to be honest, I felt inadequate. I did. I felt like I was letting the team down. So I have read and read and read and read. And now, as I state a little bit later on, I'm probably letting Mulk down because something had to give, and it's been TV. But I've read a lot, and we have a lot to discuss. A broad range of books, memoirs, graphic novels. So there will undoubtedly be something that we talk about that will appeal to you. And yes, reading is important. Even if you think it isn't, being able to take a bit of time for yourself, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever you can take to just sit and immerse yourself in the beauty of words is a great way to just reset yourself and transport yourself somewhere else for a brief period of time. But this is a really fun podcast. Ends up being a bit longer than I expected, not in a bad way, but just one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, we've got a bit to talk about. And then it was like, boom, we really churned it out. And also we continue to share a little bit of our work that we are writing at the moment. Garth's working on a manuscript. I'm working on a manuscript. So for me, it's this project that I've been writing that is at the moment called 1996. It is based at the Adelaide Fringe of that same year. A pretty momentous time in Australian history. Not only was it a big festival, but it was also the moment that the Labor government was knocked out. The Keating government lost the election, and the John Howard government came in. And I don't know. I reckon you could say that's a turning point. If you are more politically aligned with me, a turn for the worse. And if you are maybe not so inclined to agree with me, for the better, but you're wrong. It's for the worse. Anyway, and also that was the first Fringe festival that I performed at. Up until then, I had just been someone who went to the Fringe. So it was an important time in my life as well. So not a memoir. It is a fictional story. And anyway, you'll have a little taste of that right at the end as well. Now, this is coming out 8 a.m. on Tuesday morning, the 24th. He says, looking at his board, everything's starting to roll into each other. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter will drop at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to have some recommendations of music and books and movies and things like that, and an opportunity to catch up and find out also where I'll be performing and appearing. The newsletter is free. You can sign up via my website. It is fortnightly. And once you sign up, you'll get a confirmation email. It usually goes to your spam. So go into your spam to find it, move it to your inbox, confirm, and then every fortnight you will get a little newsletter from me. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm just desperately trying to have more one-on-one contact with you and avoid the algorithms and avoid all of the bullshit that the tech companies are forcing us to engage with. I'm sorry, I see what's trending online, and I'm just not prepared to, I don't know, tell a joke in my underwear, holding my stomach in the vain hope that I've got abs to try and trick the algorithm into pushing me out there further. And also, B, I don't want you to throw up. So if you would like me to have to avoid all of that, the newsletter is the healthiest way to go about it. Also, the newsletter will give you updates. If you like my writing, you can find it over at Substack. There's a new chapter in my memoir that's going up, One Foot in the Spotlight, about my first paid gig. Yes, the first paid gig, the duo that I was in, the Bunter Boys. Yes, what a momentous occasion. I won't tell you how much we earned. That is essentially the punchline to the latest chapter. But you can find that over at Substack. You can find bonus podcasts and some rarities in film stuff over at Patreon. And then I have a live show. My stand-up show, Little Victories, is on YouTube. You can watch this as a video cast. And yeah, there's all these different places that you can find the aspects of me that you engage with the most. So justinhamilton.com.au is my website. All the links are there, and you can pick and choose which one suits you the best. Okay. I will pop by right at the end. But for now, let's bring in Garth and sit back and get ready for a whole lot of books, memoirs, graphic novels, all the things that we've loved that will be suggested for you. The bad news is the world is on fire. The good news is that we've got books, and we've done. I have to be honest. I've managed to crank out a few since we last spoke, so I can kind of hold up my end of the bargain a little bit.
I'm excited. Yep,
yeah.
Cool. Good to know.
So we have quite a number of books to go. Let's start with your list. And do you want to start with? I've got your list of stuff here. Grief Dog by Michael Winkler.
Yes, Michael Winkler was the first self-published author to get shortlisted.
Yep.
For what's that literature prize that everyone talks about? Hang on, sorry.
The Booker?
He got the Miles Franklin.
Oh, Miles Franklin.
Miles
Right.
Franklin.
Yes.
Yeah, so the first self-published novel to would be shortlisted for that.
Wow.
So this is a follow-up, which is about a guy who comes into some money. He lives in Mildura. He's a bit of a high-rolling, small-town sort of dude. Still pretty fit for 49. Living that Mildura dream. He's a hydrologist, and he comes in a bit of money, and he decides one day after fucking his cousin that he is going to, he wants to live his life as a dog or the family pet.
Oh, right. Wow.
So there's your synopsis for it. It doesn't quite go that way on the back of the novel.
Right.
But yeah, it's sort of about male responsibility, I guess, and that perfect midlife crisis of going home and telling your family that you just want to hang out and give up on striving and live in the corner and be fed.
Like it doesn't sound like the worst decision in the world if you can.
No, they're financially stable.
Yeah, the thing is
anyone?
You just have to get everyone to buy into it.
Yes, and that's the path of the novel, is the sort of the relationship with his wife obviously becomes tenuous. They've got a sort of transitioning teenage daughter who's sort of leaving the small town to move to Melbourne. And all the sort of quandaries that throws up, and it's a very spiritually evocative book too. There's all the conversations about water are obviously very pertinent in the sort of, especially in Australia with the way we treat waterways, and there's a lot of discussion of like the indigenous culture around the treatment of the waterways too. If you've been to Mildura, you'll definitely feel some big Mildura vibes in there.
Oh yeah, I actually have a real soft spot for Mildura. I've first went there playing basketball in the Irimple basketball tournament.
Yep.
Yeah. Back when I was like 14, that was the first place that I ever had a partaking in the marijuana.
You would have got it from some of the Mildura mafia, no doubt.
Probably, yeah.
Like McMansions down on on Beacon Avenue.
Yeah, but it's also I've always just had a really good time in Mildura, and it's kind of a perfect place to set a story, isn't it? Because it's a a smaller city, but it's quite thriving.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of, I think, it's got a sort of almost sort of like sense of the sort of Florida of the northeastern Victoria or something, like the palm trees are all it sort of throws you off in terms of being in a regional Australia.
Yeah.
All the citrus and all the rest that they grow there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and being out there, there's a lot of Islander communities and things like that too. So it's
Yeah.
got a really interesting sort of cultural mix,
Yeah.
which the book doesn't so much go into. But the through line is definitely the sanctity of water, and how this guy's life revolves around it and affects his decisions as he sort of opts out and
Yeah.
becomes the family pet.
Right, right. Yeah. It does have a thriving culture in that sense, in that, there's great restaurants there.
Yep.
I wonder if anyone from Mildura can tell me if the wave pool is still going. Do you remember that?
I remember the mini golf.
Right.
What else in Mildura? Some stuff we won't talk about. Uh, a lot of stuff we won't talk about. But definitely, yeah, I Rimple, I think I was probably there a couple of years after you, playing for the B grade Broken Hill Bulldogs, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But Mildura is also the town that in 1998 we were there performing, and Limo had just come back from overseas, and he was talking about he was telling a story about being in London, and then afterwards we were out having a drink, and a local from Mildura guy came up, and he was pretty drunk, and he said, "Mate, you're going on about being to fucking New York and fucking living in London, mate. You're in Mildura. You're in the real world now." One
Cool. Yep.
one of the great lines that was ever said to us. But
You know how close we are to Wentworth? Yeah.
yeah,
Think
yeah,
about that.
yeah, the real world, mate.
3 hour drive to Broken Hill. We got it all.
Yeah. In defense of everyone in Mildura, everyone who heard that was particularly embarrassed. But this book sounds fascinating. So is it from the premise, is it a satire? Is it how would you describe the flavor of it?
It's, I mean, it's definitely got a very, a very good sense of humor.
Mm,
It's very funny. But yeah, it's a meditation on sort of, I think, midlife, sort of, asking those questions of like, if you've spent the last 25 or 30 years, and there's a theme running through a few of these books actually this month, uh, unintentionally around sort of men of that age,
mm,
having crises of like, was spending 25 or 30 years grinding away, being a real estate agent or a hydrologist or whatever,
yeah,
that worthwhile as you sort of crest 50, or if, those decisions weren't, the dream life you had sort of set out for yourself.
yeah,
But yeah, satire with a sort of, I guess it's got a very introspective sort of tone to it. I found it very funny. I think Michael Winkler, yeah, he's great. Like coming out of nowhere with this book, with the first book, Grimish, and then this one, like he's pretty incredible.
yeah. Right. Okay, that sounds great. By the way, for anyone who's watching the video, I hope you don't have a ghost, because your door just behind you opened very casually.
Yeah, I've got the other door open, so the wind's blowing through. That's all right.
There's no problem. It's just
And
something
ghosts
I
are
feel like I should point out before you suddenly start being picked up by something I can't see and thrown
I don't
around.
know. Well, fingers crossed.
Do anything for extra views on
That's right.
YouTube.
Yep.
So Grief Dog by Michael Winkler can be found at textpublishing.com.au.
That's right. Yep.
Excellent. All right, that sounds great.
I think that's out in next week. Next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
and there's a few events in Melbourne at least, launches around then as well, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, that sounds really interesting. Is it this might be incorrect, but does it feel like it has a it could sit you could read this and then watch Lars in the Real World, the Real Girl, sorry.
Real good. I think that's a fair tonal comparison to make. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
one of those kind of slightly askew concepts, but actually has emotional depths.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's absolutely on the money for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, you had a Season for Flying Saucers by Brendan Colley.
So yeah, Brendan is a South African author who lives in Tasmania now.
Mm-hmm.
Been down there for about 15 years, I think. And his first book, The Signal Line, was nominated for the Tasmanian Premier's Literary Award in 2019 and was published in 2022. And I've had a chat with Brendan that we're going to post up on my site later on that everyone can have a
Yeah.
read of. Because he's got some great insights into publishing and what it's like to be a writer
Hmm.
in general. And this Brendan's second book, Season for Flying Saucers, like like Grief Dog evokes Mildura, Season for Flying Saucers really evokes Hobart.
Right.
There's a certain vibe with the people you meet in Tasmania, Hobart specifically, and Brendan's characters in this are a family of they're a family lower socioeconomic sort of status who are forced to move back in together for a summer and come to terms with the fact that their father and husband has been abducted by a flying saucer,
Right.
I think. And not spoiling the novel, but yeah, the questions around the father's reappearance sort of open up the family's relationships. The mum's a psychic, the sister's a dog walker, the
Right.
neighbor's a survivalist. Uh, Sort of prepper, and the son's a poet who writes about being abducted by UFOs and has a massive Instagram following.
Right.
Um, I could see it being adapted very easily with, that the Tasmanian feel is really, writ through it very, very intensely.
Yeah.
And just those, very gentle family themes. Not a lot happens, but it's, a very sweet novel that yeah, there are feels. Yeah, it's not the usual. It's not something that I would seek out.
Right.
It definitely gets you right in the sort of pulls the heartstrings.
Okay.
It's not a sentence I've ever said before.
Well, once again, Hobart is like a perfect city to set a story. I've had some incredible experiences
Yeah,
down in Hobart, and once again, it has a thriving community, kind of a perfect backdrop, isn't it? Because
absolutely.
it has a broad range of people from, like those. I've met those types of people who are prepping for the end of the world and, been at Mona and then, been at gigs having
Mhm.
conversations with just, suburban folk. And it's a really fascinating town.
Yeah, hugely. And if you drive around Tasmania, you'll meet
Mm.
even more intense prepper
Yeah.
guys. Maybe you don't want to talk to so much.
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
Yeah.
camouflaged caravans on the west coast as you drive up that way,
Yeah.
not
I've
recommended.
I have done some touring around Tasmania, so and I always love performing in Launceston as well. Launceston
Yes.
was always a fun visit. But yeah, this sounds fascinating. So it's more all these things that happen are essentially for a family drama.
Yes, yeah. As I say, like it feels like something that could the ABC would you'd adapt into a quirky 6 episode series that would, you know, do well. Not, not necessarily with your mum's demographic, but like, yeah, it just. I talked to Brendan in the interview. He was born in the early 70s, so he actually was talking about how he'd missed the X-Files and Twin Peaks the first time around.
Hmm.
Um, and that was sort of the two sort of my two touch points for some of the themes in the story.
Yeah.
I was like, are you obviously inspired by that? And he's like, actually, I only saw Twin Peaks just before this manuscript was delivered.
Right.
But it really that night there's a yeah real sort of through line of those sense of those shows and some of the quirkiness of the characters in there
Yeah.
and the ideas that he's unpacking.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like I've never really thought about that before, but yeah, Tasmania is kind of like a perfect place for a Twin Peaks kind of esque story, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's ideal. It's ideal.
And so you've got an interview with Brendan that you're putting up at your website, which we'll put
I'll
the
post
links
that.
at
Yeah,
Patreon. And if people want to buy that, head to
that's
transitlounge.com.au.
that's the one. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
great. All
They've got
right.
some great stuff coming out.
Both of those sound really interesting. Next up, you have Service by John Tottenham.
And this one, I'm sure neither of us can relate to. This is about a another guy. Yeah, he's an author who works at a bookshop,
Hmm.
and he's deeply resentful of the fact he works at a bookshop while he's working on his first manuscript,
Right.
whilst being incredibly rude to every customer that comes in because they don't perceive his genius as being someone who is writing his first manuscript.
Oh, right. Wow.
uh,
I haven't met that guy
ever whatsoever.
ever. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this book's particularly just for like one, specific sort of band of people
Mm.
demographically, but like it's hilarious. It
Yeah.
really resonates. He's a English author of journal. He's a journalist
Hmm.
who's struck out to do this novel. Feels like it's maybe 90% just auto fiction, just sort of
Right.
chronicling what he's been up to, and then with a slight twist.
Yeah.
But deeply darkly funny, very misanthropic, sort of that sense of the sort of the I guess sort of late 90s English sitcom bleak
Right.
as well. Uh,
Yeah. Right.
yeah.
I have to be honest, when I first read it, I misread his name as John Toddleben, and I was like, oh, John Toddleben's read
He's
a,
back.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Uh, um, and it says, so this is a, uh, so it's more of a comedy, is it? Do you think, or is a satire, or what's the flavor for this?
I think it's a satire of that type, but
Mm,
he's luxuriating in being that type.
mm,
He works in a bookstore in Hollywood,
mm,
and it's his constant frustration with the customers that come in. The his exasperation with being forced to deal with the people that still come into bookshops,
mm.
uh, as he's sort of like, building himself up in his own head around his own genius, and then having, the imposter syndrome that kicks in at various points of, any written project when you decide everything sucks, and
Yeah.
sort of having encounters with very loosely sort of fictional versions of people in that scene in Hollywood.
Mm.
Um, People who are succeeding more, people who are driving him nuts because they're getting the publishing contracts, all the rest. It's very, very funny, and a little bit too close to home, probably a lot of
Yeah, right.
the time.
It's coming up on Thursday. I have Alice Fraser on the show,
Mhm.
and we she's writing a manuscript at the moment. We discussed that quite a bit, and the you just have to keep forging straight ahead. You can't you can't look back because uh, once you look back while you're still writing it, I think that it's a cross between the desire to fix things and also the imposter syndrome can really kick in.
Oh, absolutely. Like, sorry, excuse me. This morning, I didn't think I had it in me, but I managed to sort of just get started and get
Mm,
1,500 words done before we logged
mm,
on.
yeah,
But some days the drive to do it is just non-existent. But you just need to find that rhythm
yeah,
and plow on, and you'll surprise yourself when you go back eventually because
yeah,
some
yeah,
stuff's actually pretty good.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Well,
use yourself.
that's
Yeah.
yeah, and if you if you get caught up tinkering, that I think that imposter syndrome can find a way to uh,
Absolutely. It's
there's heaps of reasons to stop writing, so don't give yourself an extra one. So
Yeah, I mean, and process, when you've got a elaborate process to get to that point. I'm finding now it's just like play with the dog for 10 minutes, walk in, sit down, make sure the email's off,
mm,
and just start no
yeah,
matter what,
yeah.
and just deal with it.
I also think a character who is, wanting to write a novel, resentful of the people who still read books,
Yeah,
also wanting to appeal to those people while living in
it's
Hollywood,
hilarious.
where you're surrounded by fame and, people being fated, makes for a rich foundation for a character to be very misanthropic.
Yeah, because to write is internal, and
Mm,
you never really have a forward-facing moment of getting approval.
yeah.
So yeah, he's in exactly the wrong place to try and achieve that as well. But yeah, I actually just saw it on like a newsagent bookshelf in Auckland when I was up there over Christmas,
Yeah,
and in the cover did appeal, and yeah, it turned out to be a win for
yeah,
one on that front.
yeah,
It does
great.
happen. The occasional airport novel does tick all the boxes.
Yeah. So that is Service by John Tottenham. That can be found at Penguin Random Books, penguinrandomhouse.com. So that would be the best place to find that.
Yes.
Um, Next is obviously a non-fiction, Gaza, Story of a Genocide. I don't have an author for it here, but
This is a collection of essays,
okay.
and it came out. It's mid 2025, I think. I just found it
Hmm.
in a local bookshop, but it's an accounting of what had happened to the 18 months or so in the 18 months or so up to that point. And I mean, I just think it's worthwhile reflecting, you know, and reading the stories of just the normal people trying to live their lives
Mm,
while all this horrific shit is happening. And it was, it took me about 3 weeks. I mean, it's only about 300 pages.
right.
It's one of those things where you're just like, there's only so much you can visit on yourself
Yeah.
daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it's sort of almost a responsibility where we are to sort of, hold some of that space and
Yeah.
just be aware of, what people are, having to deal with.
Yeah.
And there are some, amazingly inspiring stories in there too around, what people are, achieving on the ground and, keeping humanitarian efforts open and keeping schools open and doing all sorts of incredible things under, really brutal circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a feel good, but it's a sort of jump in. You will find moments of, absolute despair, but there's also really, inspiring moments in there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is just the lack of empathy is what really bothers me with all of this everything that's occurring over there, and even in like the guys in Lame Stream were pointing out the voice of Hin Rajib
Yes. Yeah.
ended up with these reviews in the Age and the Sydney Morning Herald, and I forget which paper it was, but this is a film that's been lauded all over the world, and it kind of got pretty muted responses here. And someone actually, one of the journalists, and I can't remember which one. One of the journalists said, hopefully we'll get, a story from
Oh
Israel's
yeah.
point of view.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
go, no, we are, mate.
Got plenty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what an outrageous thing to, you
It's
know.
just, it's astonishing, and yeah, um, yeah, it's hard to sort of process. Yeah, that's all we get is like stories from that perspective, and that film is just such a gut punch. Like
Mm,
it's just a sustained sense that, like, just yeah, the dread of knowing that this is fate accompli, that this has happened to this poor child.
mm.
Um, have you seen it?
No, I haven't seen this
It's
one.
yeah, it's probably the. I mean, I saw it earlier in January, and yeah, it's sitting at the top of my just never watch it again. But like, you should, if
Yeah,
you have the opportunity, see it, and it
yeah,
just sit with the fact that this is like the daily occurrence, and it's spreading across the Middle East because they're just having a field day with, you know, we want more territory.
yeah.
You know, what will we have next?
Yeah, and all this, this lack of empathy for, everyday people really suffering, and then the fear mongering that's being perpetuated by governments and the media, etc. We're really seeing, Australians can get pretty complacent about their luck in life, and we're starting to see bad signs of how it will play out here.
Well, it's
We just
always
had.
like the most devastating thing is how much petrol costs. And
Well, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
and you have to remind people it's like, well, the devastating thing is, like the fact that people's kids are being blown up because of this.
Yeah.
It's not, it's going to hurt, but w- we started it really.
Yeah.
Like, it's on us. Like Australia put their hand up, and they've made, the Australian government's made that decision, unfortunately,
Yeah.
to align
Uh,
themselves.
like I always have, I just think the political system is so fraught now that even if you go in with the best of intentions, at some point you're going to compromise yourself to such an extent that you know, you end up with a centrist Labor
Yeah,
Party that is more conservative than its foundations would, promise you. But what I was going to say is,
yeah,
we just had the South Australian election, and One Nation got more votes than the Greens,
yes,
and
and Liberal Party.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's it looks like they've got some real forward momentum, and once again that is a lack of empathy for
yeah.
what's going on and being
I mean,
fearful for.
that's just pushing that button of like be terrified and come to us. We'll tell you what you want to hear. We'll give you somewhere to voice your latent racism, fear of
Mm,
the other, and
yeah,
it's scary. Like One Nation, should have been a footnote, a total joke.
yeah,
But I think probably Tony Abbott sort of gave them a leg up.
right,
And it's been, in the last 10 or 15 years, is, he's sort of, all that hard right of the Liberal Party is definitely sort of, pushing in that direction.
mm,
And now they're absorbing Barnaby Joyce and Corey
yeah,
Bernardi and all those guys. So all the people we thought had been put out to pasture are now just
yeah,
rolling back in
yeah,
through
yeah,
this right wing, far right nationalist bullshit that they're being flown around with Gina Reinhardt in her
yeah,
jet and using
yeah,
up all the jet fuel.
yeah, yeah. It is something that is it's a scary situation. It is extremely depressing, and I understand where I do understand where people who are trying to uh, find a way to pay their mortgage or their
Yep.
rent and pay, cover their kids' fees and try to, uh, you know, just
Yep.
be able to pay for fuel and groceries and all that kind of stuff, can feel exhausted by stuff. But if they can find a way to still engage and find a level of empathy, I think that is at least a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day that it's the realization that it's like us collectively, no matter what the nation is, and there are interests that are completely outside of that,
Yeah,
doing whatever they want to do to indulge their worst impulses.
yeah,
But globally, we're all the same class of people trying to like just survive and like live life.
yeah.
Uh, and that's, yeah, it just cuts through, it's, not about skin color or, where the borders are drawn or anything like that. But everyone's
Mm,
got to sort of, yeah, come to that collective understanding.
yeah. I've kind of I've kind of come to a belief that the only people who should be in charge of the world are astronauts,
Oh yeah.
because they all come back just going,
Maybe
yeah,
William Shatner.
no, yeah, yeah, no, I mean proper
No,
astronauts,
I know,
not
but
not
like I
actors.
remember William Shatner coming back saying how, basically, his level of empathy shot through the roof, and he talks, at the age of 95 about,
Yeah,
how precious the planet is, and
yeah,
that was his sort of, 3 seconds in the upper atmosphere tipped
yeah.
him over. Yeah.
Maybe it'd be nice if we could get the leaders to, hey, we're going to show you what the world looks like from space, and put them on and just go full Illuminati Planet Hulk and oh, it looks like you're not coming back
Oh,
anyway.
it's sad. Tragic. Yeah.
So Gaza, the story of a genocide, can be found
Yes.
at bloomsbury.com.au. You've delved into the world of it's a couple of graphic novels. It's Kieran Gillen's The Power Fantasy.
Yeah, I think I did mainly, yeah, the Power Fantasy was what I think we should go with because I finished the
Hmm.
three graphic novels, the three collections of the Power Fantasy, um, I mean, Kieran Gillen is like a comic writer that, like he's in the mold of your Grant Morrison or Alan Moore,
Mm,
and he likes to play with the big archetypes.
mm.
This one's very fun in that it's sort of set in the late 90s, which I think excuses it from some of the comics that have come since, in a few senses around some of the themes he explores. But yeah, it's essentially there are six.
I don't know what those are.
Well, there are six superpowers on the planet
Right.
that started to manifest after World War II.
Yep.
They've all got the power to essentially destroy Earth, individually. So they've all come to sort of a detente where they have all agreed to sort of coexist and maintain the peace. They all come from different philosophical points of view.
Hmm.
There's a sort of a extreme rationalist who is a sort of a beatnik philosopher
Hmm.
who spends his time sort of he will kill people purely based on the fact, like, he'll kill the US president because he can see rationally that down the line that's going to affect X, Y, and Z. Sort of a little bit like a coffee shop Dr. Manhattan,
Oh yeah.
a little bit less cold with it.
Yep.
But yeah, you've got a female artist character from Japan who manifests as a enormous psychic kaiju, or like a sort of manifestation of her trauma.
Yep.
There's a Catholic girl who's gone to hell, who basically controls all the supernatural powers on the planet. Yeah, and we spend basic and there's a gravity manipulating sort of Jim Morrison-esque hippie character who floats around the world on his sort of platform. Uh, he's sort of like, I guess it's like his sort of Olympus to him, or for him, where you've
Yep.
got his own race of sort of sub super beings that he hangs out with. It has a very late 90s sort of Tom Strong almost feel to it.
Oh yeah.
It's a
Yep.
bit of there's darkness, but there's a lot of utopian ideas in it as well. It's beautifully illustrated. Um, yeah, and just cool comics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, big ideas. It wraps up, in about 16 issues, I think. There
Yeah.
will be
Right.
more, but like the first arc concludes at that point. It's out of Image Comics. I started to reread The Wicked and the Divine, but that's a bigger effort to sort of maintain.
Right.
But I think this is a good, it's a couple of nights worth of reading, and you'll get a lot of fun comics concepts out of it for
Yeah.
grown as well. Yeah.
He's also been very good at dipping his toes into the big publishers and IP and doing interesting things there. But I don't. I've actually. I think I've got on my computer somewhere. What is it? Humble Bumble or something? What is that?
Okay.
Yeah, where you can.
Oh, right.
They
Humble Bundle. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and they do. For people who don't know, uh, they'll put together a whole lot of comics or video games and that, and you can pay money, and all the money goes to as donated to causes, etc. So I think I have a whole lot of Kieran's stuff in a folder
Right.
on my desktop, just
Yep.
waiting for me to
Just go on
get
the
to them.
iPad.
But yeah, I would. I like his stuff, so that sounds
And
quite appealing.
he's always teamed up with some, very clean storytellers as artists too. So
Mm,
you've got like the synthesis of the art and the storytelling always works well with him. I don't know if he curates who his artists are,
right.
but they definitely, they work well together, and it's consistent. Like there's no guest artists. You get through the entire thing with the same artist, which is always great.
That's great. Yeah, it can be unless a story has a specific, one-off feel. The changing of artists, even though I know sometimes it's a lot out of authors' ability to be able to control that side of things, it still can be a bit of a bummer when
It'd be a bit jarring, yeah.
yeah,
Especially in the middle of an arc, if it's suddenly like a sort of, pinch it, unless it's a flashback or some sort of like change in the sort of style of
yes,
narrative.
yeah,
It can definitely take you out of it.
yeah.
Um,
That sounds good though. I would definitely check that out.
Worth a look. Yeah.
Now there was one other book that you said you were hopefully going to
Yes.
knock off. Did you get
So
to?
I finished off Even the Good Girls Will Cry last night, which is
Mhm.
Melissa Auf der Maur who was in Hull for one album.
Yep. Was she
And
only in there for one album?
She was.
Oh, wow.
She,
She had such an impact that I just figured she was there
oh
quite
yeah,
a bit.
my crush has gone for at least 25 years, 30
Yeah.
years now. But it's, I mean, her sort of tagline is like, she's going to take you back to the last analog decade. And it really made me extremely grateful to have grown up and been through the 90s just as a concept. Just she reflects a lot on analog technology and, sending faxes and all that stuff that people probably laugh about a lot now if they didn't actually experience doing that at the time. But it just feels so clean and pure,
Mm,
unstressful,
yeah.
and just so much better. She's like, I got a phone and I occasionally send a text message to Dave Grohl, maybe once every 6 weeks. And it's like, oh, perfect.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds all right. So
But it is the story of essentially her being drafted into Hole in 1993, 94,
right.
after Kurt Cobain had died, and then the bass player from Hole died the same, not long after.
Yeah,
So it's her, I think she was 21, 22 at that point.
right.
That's her sort of being thrown into that world. But she's from Montreal, Canada, and she's not the archetypal rock and roll beast. She's very considered, very sort of spiritual. So you don't get the stories of debauchery. It's more her circulating around all these personalities. And you come out with a massive sense of empathy for Courtney Love too,
Right.
which is great. Like, because she reproduces some of Courtney's letters to her,
Yeah.
uh, sort of because she's mentoring her
Yeah.
through that period. And the book ends on September 11, 2001. Essentially, it's like that's when she sort of puts the pin in the end of that decade
Yeah.
of the, post 9/11, everything got exponentially more painful as we're experiencing again.
Yeah.
But it's a really thoughtful, sweet sort of evocation of that time, and so much pleather. I'd
Yeah.
forgotten how much pleather there
Yeah,
was.
there was so much. Yeah.
Feathers, pleather,
Yeah.
sheer shirts for boys and girls. I remember going to Hound Dog and Rundle Mall.
Yeah.
Anything that would spontaneously combust, get that.
Yeah.
Uh, just better times.
And look, I think the best time to be alive was between the Berlin Wall going down and the Twin Towers going down.
Yeah. And there's because it did remind me a lot of the Chuck Klosterman book on the 90s as well.
Mm,
It's not a pathologically nostalgic sort of take on it. It was like it's just very much a sense of someone being whipped up into this crazy universe at a
mm.
time before your public persona wasn't on 24/7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, there's no Instagram, there's no constantly having to broadcast these things. She's sort of learning as she goes how she's
Yeah.
her own on-stage persona and her perception in the media. And she just decides to quit because her contract's up,
Yeah.
and joins the Smashing Pumpkins and then disappears. And I found it just, it's another one in this series so far of sort of 90s rock sort of memoirs where they all had their shit together a bit more, I think.
Yeah.
And she's sort of lamenting, the onset of your Marilyn Mansons and things like that being, antithetical to the spirit of that sort of alternative music revolution from that
Right.
sort of very small window.
Right.
But if you're around then, or if you want to sort of get a sense of what it was like,
Yeah.
call your friend up while you're watching Hey Hey It's Saturday because you got the news that Kurt had passed away or whatever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
that's the sense you get.
Yeah. Wow. All right. That sounds good.
It's
That
really, yeah.
that kind of dovetails into one of the things that I read. I read Cameron Crowe's The Uncool, a
Oh,
memoir,
right. Yeah.
which is just a delight, and it's kind of bookended by he's in his hometown in the present day, and they're about to put on Almost Famous, the musical, and he's feeling anxiety about that and talking to his mum, etc. And that goes back to him as a kid and how if anyone who's seen the film, you get the real stories, and it's a fascinating look back at that era of music.
Mm.
What kind of rock and roll journalism was like. But what's really sweet about it is that he just feels like he was a nice kid and he has grown up to be a nice man. And it doesn't
Yes.
mean he's hasn't made mistakes, and it doesn't mean he's been successful in every endeavor, but there is just an underlying sense and foundation of decency. And the story of his mum, his father, his family. But by the time you get to the end, it's really moving. It's actually quite emotional. And
Right.
what I liked about what he wrote is that, because he's got that journalism background, he's not asking you to feel specific things. He's just telling you, and then you feel it because you get to project your own emotions onto it, which is just a better type of writing, I think, a more truthful type of writing.
Right. Yeah.
So, but anyone who's a fan of the movie and is, oh, you know what, you don't even have to have seen the movie. If you just have an interest in maybe what it was like to live in the 70s and what music was like and what it meant.
Oh, was his mentor Lester Bangs?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
just wild as a, barely teenager to be around all those personalities at Rolling Stone and
yeah.
yeah, like the stuff you wouldn't get away with it now. There'd be too many police checks and
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, back
yeah,
then he was just getting kicked
yep,
out constantly because he was underage.
yeah,
That was the
yeah,
problem. But the lessons that he learns, you can are really pertinent lessons that could be applied now. Yeah, I just found it really easy to read. I don't, maybe the longest chapters like 8 pages or something
okay,
like that.
yeah,
So, uh, uh, I've had a busy couple of weeks. You could churn through quite a few chapters and feel like you've achieved something, and then put
yeah,
it
yeah,
down and be able to pick it up easily. But that was a book that was bought for me, and
okay,
I think I would have been curious about reading it, but I don't know if I would have made it a priority. And I'm glad that I now, um, you know, got stuck into it. So, the Uncooler memoir, Cameron
oh,
Crowe,
cool, yeah,
that's out and about.
right,
I've read a couple of graphic novels that we don't really need to get into too much, but I picked up Something is Killing the Children, the latest
oh yeah,
volume of
yep,
that. That is, that's just an ongoing series that I really enjoy. I don't get it as single issues. I don't read it as single issues. I get it as the trade, so it feels like it's the next season of something. The latest story is a flashback story with Erica Slaughter with her mentor, and but when she's a kid and having to go to a place that has history for her mentor. And yeah, James Tynion just writes really good characters. The artwork by Verta Deladera
right,
is really evocative, and it's one of those things where that every trade's about 5 issues, so not
okay,
too expensive either. So when it turns up, you're like, oh, great, all right, yeah, I'm ready for the
yep,
next one.
yeah, cool.
So for
Is
people who
that being
haven't,
adapted to something as well, or
oh, I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be
oh,
perfect. It's for people who haven't read any of it. It's a world where kids can see monsters, but parents can't. And there's this uh, secret society of people who go around and they try to murder to kill the monsters before they, panic spreads and the belief systems grow and stuff like that. So it's just a cool premise, and in one of these types of storytelling continuations, the further you go, there's different factions within the society and they do different things, and it's just really good. It's just really good. It's been consistent from the first trade that I've read, so
right.
that's worthwhile checking out.
Sorry, how many trades are there?
I reckon did not write down what the latest one is. I reckon it's volume 8 that
Okay,
I
cool.
just read. So
Yeah,
volume 8 or volume 9. But it's up there. And
yeah,
there's
cool.
and there's some spin-offs as well, with the different houses, stories with different characters as well. So it's pretty, I guess it could be, uh, for someone looking for a modern day Buffy kind of,
Hmm.
it's not pop culture drenched like Buffy was, but there's definitely a DNA that you can
Yeah,
find
cool.
in it. Yeah. And the lead character's cool, and the design is super cool as well.
Awesome. All right, look it up.
Um, I also reread, and I haven't read these in a long time. I read the first 2 volumes of the original run of Hellblazer by Jamie Delano
Oh,
and
right.
John Ridgway, David Lloyd, all of those guys. Just great going back into that world of John Constantine, and he it's they were horror stories, but I vaguely remembered, but had actually forgotten the depth of how political they were and
Yeah, that was,
how
yep.
uh,
Very Thatcher sort of, yeah,
yes,
era, like very kitchen sink sort of, yeah, drama with
yes,
elements of the horror, like that. Really, yeah. I'm just thinking of some of the artwork, just remembering just how grimy,
grimy.
ow, the entire thing is.
Yes. Yeah, like Constantine, he sweats. He's,
Yep,
everything looks smelly.
yep.
It's dirty. Magic is not nice. The people
Mhm.
that you mix with aren't great, and he is just such a cool character, and Delano really fleshes him out into, he's obviously great in when Alan Moore brings him along, but Delano really grounds him in a real world sensibility that you can recognize.
Because Delano was the first person to write him after Moore, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the guy to,
Was
yep.
a yeah, yeah. Or if he wasn't the first, it would have been Rick Veitch,
Yeah,
but only by a nanosecond,
yep.
But and also really funny. Like, there's a point where a demon gets 4 hoodlums. I don't know if you remember this, and turns them into one kind of demonic creature. And when it confronts, so it's got the 4 heads of these 4 youths,
Yep.
and they've got, like, a number of arms, etc. And John gets confronted by them, and then he realizes on one side, 2 of them have tattoos for Arsenal and 2 of them have tattoos for
That's right. Yep.
Chelsea.
Yep.
And then he turns them on each other, and they kind of defeat themselves. It's a very funny thing. Or even the first 2-part storyline is horrific with his mate Gary Lester, who comes back, and he let a demon out in Africa, who is floating around New York, and uh, once he infects someone, they just keep devouring things. Like a man in a restaurant just keeps eating and eating and
Yes.
eating,
Yeah, I'm
and
remembering this now.
and
Yep. Yep.
withers away. Or there's the bodybuilder who's obsessed with his physique, who starts eating his arm. Like, it's
Yep.
pretty graphic, with where it goes. But
I mean, that was
uh,
such a that that original Hellblazer. Well, to get about 200 issues or a bit more,
mm,
but like just that run
I
of
think it was 300.
300. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, just that run of English comics writers like doing really great, but very different takes on the character
yeah,
over those, like, I mean, obviously Garth Ennis and Warren Ellis and all the rest of them.
yeah.
But yeah, just what a great series.
Yeah, and he ages as well. Like, he's
Yes,
yeah, like it's
yeah.
it's it's like Judge Dredd. He gets older.
I think I
So the
remember when I was at university, turned 50. I'm like, fuck that.
yeah, yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
Uh, that's too much. But really worthwhile going back and checking out if you really want when
Yes.
comics were it was the beginning of the Vertigo age. They had something to say,
Yeah.
and they weren't afraid to be uh, dealing with really important topics in a really grimy and, as you said, dirty kind of way. It's
Yeah.
great.
But yeah, that for sure.
Worthwhile going back to the two more books for you. I don't know if we discussed this, but I've really after uh, I had the guest Michael Oken on, and I in the last couple of years I've had a mild fascination with Eyes Wide Shut, which is a movie
Hmm.
that when I first came out I was like, oh, I guess that was fine, but it didn't really land for me. And as I've gotten older, it's gotten more and more interesting. I don't really watch that movie because of people watch it because it's like, oh, it's talking about secret societies and the things that you can see. That to me is not really the interesting part of it. To me, it's the degradation of the main character, and having that character played by Tom Cruise is what I
Yes.
find really, really fascinating. And so I decided I'd check out Dream Story, which is the 1926 novella by Arthur Schnitzler, which is
Hmm.
what inspired the book. And I have to say, I was, pretty blown away at. I kind of figured I'd be reading something that was a little bit more. Oh yeah, I can see where he took inspiration from this and inspiration from that, but it's uh, pretty much keeps to the novel.
Okay.
It's yeah, I was quite surprised. He, even the even the motivations and the characters that he meets along the way. Of course, Kubrick has updated it, but it's a really interesting read. It's set in the early 20th century Vienna during Mardi
Is
Gras,
is it called
and
Tromneville in
Traumdeville in
yeah,
is the
originally?
original
Yeah.
German title,
Yes.
and it's the main character. Fridolin is a successful 35-year-old doctor who lives with his wife Albertina, who one day confesses that the previous summer, when they were on vacation in Denmark, she had a sexual fantasy about a young Danish military officer,
Okay, so it's
and
pretty
so
much yeah,
yeah,
beat for beat, yeah.
yeah, like I can't tell you how surprised I was by that,
Yes.
but that's it's only about 128 pages, so you
Okay.
can
That's a
easily
script.
churn through it. Yeah, but
Yeah, script work. Yep.
that was a really a fun read,
But Eyes
and
Wide Shut is having a moment in the zeitgeist, isn't it? So
it really is. Yeah, yeah. I saw Grant Morrison uh, rewatched it recently, and he was dismissive of because he found all the secret society stuff to be so uh kind of whatever, but
mm,
I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I much prefer to watch it as a character study of the lead guy, and you know how he how someone can have such a keen sense of who they are, and then how that
yes.
can be dismantled quite easily just by, I guess, ego.
Yes.
Yeah,
But it's a lot easier to go out and just hang out with hookers in 1999 and not be tracked by your wife too. So,
yeah. What did we just say? The 90s was so much
I
better.
know, it's the perfect decade. Yep.
And I finally got around to reading a book that I've been circling for a while, which is Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation, which is the
Oh,
first
yeah.
from the Southern Reach series, and was made into a movie by Alex Garner.
Oh, it's gone now.
Yeah, and it was, I went to say Alan Garner then, and I gave it a mix, Alex
I
Garland.
was like, who?
Uh,
Who?
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know Alan Garner? He
Oh,
wrote.
yeah. My
He's
cousin. Yeah.
a Welsh writer. He's a Welsh writer who wrote some amazing young adult novels when I was a kid.
Right.
Ellador, the Brimstone, the what was Redshift. Incredible writer,
Right.
but
Okay.
worthwhile checking out. But
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Vandermeer's. This was made into that film, and once again, is it's four armed, unnamed women who just go by the name biologist, an anthropologist, a psychologist, and a military trained surveyor who go into sent into an area called Area X, which is an unspecified coastal location that has been closed to the public for 3 decades. This is the 12th exhibition that goes in, and there's something alien has taken hold there. So, and yeah, once again, it's science fiction, horror, weird, and it feels alien,
Yeah.
and you can uh, I churned through that pretty easily. That was only about 208 pages, and I think I'll go and I'll read the rest because I'm
Mm.
curious to see how he builds on it, because it does kind of feel fine, like a final. When it comes to the end, that's the end. But I can also see where you could keep placing stories in there. But I thought
Is
that was pretty cool.
is the horrifying shrieking bear in there?
No,
No?
no, but there is the alligator is,
Okay.
and yeah, it's that was a movie that I reckon that's one of those movies that the first time I saw it, I watched. I've only ever seen it on TV, and it didn't really land for me the first time I watched it. And then it was also one that I had to return to. I think it would have had a different impact on me if I'd seen it initially at the
Cinema.
cinema.
Yeah, it was a Netflix thing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
But I thought that was great as well. So, yeah, managed to get through.
Been on a tear, an absolute
Mate,
tear. Yeah.
mate. No wonder I'm so run down.
All that thinking, all that.
All that reading, seeing
Yeah.
movies. It's
Brutal.
like I was like, I've got to catch up with Mulk soon for our next TV spot, and I was like, geez, I haven't. TV's been the thing that's been a little bit on the back
Yes.
burner for me, but then I looked and I saw For All Mankind returns this week,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and I'll the last season of that wasn't my favorite, but I've come this far. I'm still curious to know where they're going to take it, and there's a few things popping up.
Are you going to watch The Boys, the
Uh,
final series?
yeah, absolutely. Is
Yeah.
that back this week or it's
I think
back
it's next week or the week
next
after.
week?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's kind of coming out
Yeah.
all at
Because
once.
my 4 weeks a year, I have Amazon Prime.
Right. Yeah.
Can't bring myself to do it otherwise, but yeah, just watch a bunch of trash while I'm yeah, once it's once it's locked in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how's your writing going? Do you have anything to share with us?
Yeah, shockingly, I think I'm about 20,000 words away from finishing my manuscript, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
great.
It's been a on again, off again sort of scenario with a lot of other things happening, but
Mm.
got some momentum now as we're getting into April, towards April, and hopefully, yeah, hope have something done soon. But this is something I just a little sample from something I did last week, getting myself. What I'm working is I've ended up with 5 interweaving narratives because I like to make things hard for myself,
Mm.
and
Great.
trying to land that is going to be the next part of it. Probably after a few, yeah, just sort of tying a few things off and then be bringing everything together. So this is part of the sort of semi-auto fiction uh, sort of thread of the narrative.
Okay.
Um, During the pandemic, it engaged the services of a myotherapist to iron out some long-standing but recently excruciating back issues. The pursuit of glory in the world of letters was a sedentary one, and his right shoulder was giving him absolute fucking hell. Nonetheless, he had attended with no small level of trepidation, having convinced himself that the throb in his shoulder was absolutely something dire, the inevitable outcome of his enhanced schedule of lockdown binge drinking. He was convinced the myotherapist would give him a few rudimentary manipulations, sigh deeply, then call in the vet for a humane euthanization. He'd finally settled on a benign-sounding practice in the inner city. The discreet shop front was parked between a dentist and a kebab shop, and their books were light thanks to the ongoing issue of the rampant plague. That should have been a red flag to him, but he dismissed the thought readily, so agonizing was the torment of his shoulder. The setup inside the practice, M&M Myotherapy Proprietary Limited, if you don't mind, was straight off the Pinterest vision board. Blonde wood everything, a preponderance of looming monsteras, the odd devil's ivy draped precariously, sandalwood blazing, a 90s ambient playlist churning away on a cheap soundbar. He'd sat in the waiting room for a bit, reading a Naturist magazine he'd plucked from a stack of old Fortean Times mags. The parade of saggy middle-aged flesh with their bits out was making him feel a lot better about the imminent unveiling of his own lockdown dad bod. I'm in that issue, a voice said. Page 57. He threw up his hand, startled, the magazine landing on a terracotta Buddha. The Buddha didn't give a fuck. You're manifesting some pretty wild tension there, the owner of the voice, a lady in her mid-60s, surmised. She was dressed in low-key slacks and blouse, some heavy specs, very much not the Earth goddess he'd envisioned when he'd booked the session. Can't blame you, though. Planetary energy levels are off their bloody chops. Big things happening in the upper magnetic resonance spheres. He stood, gathered the magazine from the Buddha's unflustered brow. He was copping a faceful of rampaging 70s muff, and gestured to perform the newly customary elbow bump. We don't do that shit here, love, the myotherapist said, extending a hand to shake. I'm Maureen. He was a coward and didn't like to rock the boat, so he shook her hand. Come on then, let's get you naked, hot stuff, she gurgled, leading him into her studio. Rummaging in his man bag, he found a depleted bottle of hand sanitizer and managed a quick squirt before her attention returned to him. Mind if I smoke, she asked, flicking on an exhaust fan. Keeps my hand steady.
Great. Always happy to hear the term 70s muff.
Yes, there. Not enough of it.
A terracotta Buddha is a perfect amalgamation as well, right?
Had it all. Yeah.
Had it all.
What have you got?
I've got, so I thought I'd read just from this 1996 manuscript that I have. This is from the first Monday of the Adelaide Fringe that our lead character, Maggie, for people who haven't heard the previous chapters, Maggie works at a venue called the Urban Owl. It's a venue that is running during the 1996 Adelaide Fringe. She has comedians on, she has plays, she has poets, she has improvisers all performing there, and she's kind of coordinating everything for the owner. So she's the touchstone. She's about 21 and probably been around the scene. You would have seen her, as a door girl when she was 18. Sure. That kind of way you move your career through those venues back then. And this is just her getting ready for the Monday morning. Her day, Maggie looks at Peter and wonders what to say next. Her day had begun so nicely too, dressed in a muted green and blue pleated skirt, a black singlet with a high neckline, and her purple docks pattering across the pavement, her deodorant reminding her it was hard at work with each breath of the city, the breeze pumping down the man-made airways between the buildings. A quick detour to buy some breakfast and appreciate that the heat of the day hadn't arrived yet. She arrived at the office with a copy of the Advertiser, her folders, and a toasted ham, cheese and tomato sandwich nestled in a blue, red and yellow crumpler bag slung over her shoulder while holding a latte with 3 sugars. Maggie caught her reflection in the mirror, still dirty from the gear from the weekend. Precariously positioned upright on its curved side, she noticed how short her skirt was and wished those bruises from running into the dishwasher behind the bar weren't so prominent. What a shame. She felt and looked great, especially for a Monday. First up was to read the reviews in all the papers. Still no reviews for Corporate Kitty in the Advertiser, which meant Johnny/Giannis would most definitely call later today to complain. It was an endless source of amusement that in the short time she had worked with the kiddies, he was the most popular, but also the antithesis of cool. He cared too much about what other people thought. He was the one who kept comparing himself to the other acts, specifically the Bunzel boys over at Bolt's Cafe. He was the one who craved the limelight like a fish slapping about on Glenelg jetty, desperate for the water. It was gross. Anyway, I really like Maggie.
Yep.
It's nice to the 2 previous manuscripts that I've written and this one, there's a real like for the main character, so it
cool.
Makes it easier to get back to them.
Her crumpler bag definitely evokes a lot of
what a time to be alive. Crumpler. It's one of my longest love affairs is the crumpler bag. I've still got crumpler bags.
I remember your crumpler bag, yeah.
Yeah, I've still got heaps of them. Garth, that was great.
Yep,
So you're going to put up an interview with Brendan Colley.
that's right. Yep. And next time we chat, we're going to have Holden Shepherd's new book.
Mm,
Holden's the Western Australian author whose first novel, Invisible Boys, was adapted for a miniseries on Stan,
yep.
and this is the follow-up to that. And I'll also get a little cheeky video interview with him sorted out before then as well.
Yeah, great, great.
A lot of
A-
fun.
And where can people find these interviews?
This will just go up on my website, and we'll just link to from Patreon, and yeah,
Yeah, your
yep,
website,
yeah. We
parsyaml.com.
might, yeah, and we might throw it up on Instagram as well, and a few other places. Yep,
Yeah,
but
great. Great.
yeah,
That sounds interesting. Yeah, all those books sound fascinating. Especially Grief Dog. That sounds really interesting.
worth hunting down. And yeah, thanks to all the publishers who are handing these out too. It's good to get on those lists, and people are responsive to giving out some previews, which is nice.
Yeah, we'll do our best
Good handle.
to put them out there and encourage people to check them out. And I'll
Yep,
I'll put the list on Patreon as well, so people can
great.
find them and check them out. All right,
Cool.
mate. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you.
Thank you to Garth for not only appearing on the podcast today. He's a little bit under the weather. I don't know if you noticed that, but I thought he did an excellent job of maintaining the core. So hopefully Garth feels better soon. But some great suggestions there. I will put them all up on Patreon so you can have a look. I'll put links for where you can find the books that we've talked about, and you can go over and check that out. Yeah, I kind of mentioned briefly that the Cameron Crowe memoir, I was really choked up by the end. I found it really beautiful and quite emotional. And if you are a fan of that movie, I think it'll kind of hit maybe a little bit harder than you expect. And I think it's so beautifully written, even if you're not really across the music of the 70s. He just writes so nicely and so clearly. I think it's a really great read. And I know things are really busy and you don't have a lot of time, but it's kind of perfect. It's short chapters, and so if you're looking for something for yourself, or if you have a birthday coming up or a gift, it's a really good suggestion. But I think everything that was mentioned sounds really interesting, and there's a broad range there. And I've already seen. Whew, like, talk about putting me under pressure. Like, Garth has already sent me a list of the things he's going to have for the next podcast. I was like, God damn. Anyway, looks like this arsehole will be doing a lot of reading trying to keep up. But, what a good thing to have pressure for, Oh, I've got to do more reading. That's all right, Hammo. You'll be fine. Yes, you know what? I won't keep you for too long. I'll just let you know, Thursday, Alice Fraser is coming on the show. Alice hasn't been on since the Big Squid era, and she is back, and she's just so engaging, super smart. The video version of this is so funny because Alice is really expressive with her hands, and she keeps changing the camera format every time she gets really into what she's saying. So she has to keep making hand gestures to get it back in place. So if you're listening and you're thinking, what are they talking about? You kind of have to see that one to believe it. But she's incredibly erudite, and I love her. I'm just a big fan of Alice. I've had a real love for her from the first time I met her, and she's fantastic on this. So I look forward to being able to check that out, and then also, see her at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. Just before I go, the two shows that I worked on, Jenny Tian, which I directed, When Life Gives You Oranges, and Alexei Toliopoulos, who I helped write parts of that show, his show VHS. They're at the Melbourne Comedy Festival. They are both extremely joyful shows. They're different. They're different types of shows, but you will get the same uplifting feel when you check it out. So if you're looking for two shows, I cannot stress enough how much I loved them. And I saw Alexi's first two shows, and I saw Jenny's first three, and each show just kept getting tighter and better as it happens when, you're putting on a new show. 5 sentences become 3 sentences, become 1 sentence. And, they've had numerous shows under their belt since I last saw it. So I can't even begin to imagine, how much better it is already. And they were great on their opening nights. Actually, Jenny just sent me some new material yesterday that was really funny. So they're tinkering, they're perfectionists. They like things to get better. And they have two unique voices. So they're the two shows I'd love to for you to see at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. But whatever you see, let me know. I'd love to know what you check out as well. You can contact me via my website. You can also contact me. There's a button on the newsletter that will allow you to send through questions and, just say hi. Just say hi. Isn't that a nice thing to do in this current world? Just say hi. It's like the David Bowie song. Everybody says hi. There you go. From the Heathen album. Yep. Hammo, always bringing it back to Bowie at some point. All right. I will let you go. Thank you so much for being a part of this community. I hope some of those books and graphic novels appealed to you. If you would like to give us a top review on whatever platform you listen to, that would be appreciated. But as always, just that you take the time to listen is so much. I do not take your time for granted. All right. I'll be back on Thursday. Until then.